Hi and welcome to part 2 of Clevertouch.com's Tudor Challenge. I'm Gareth, primary school teacher, and with me as ever is my assistant Tallulah, my daughter. Say hello Tallulah to everyone. Good girl. Okay, now this is for Key Stage 2 children who wanted something to do, and I set you the challenge of doing a family tree for King Henry VIII and also to find out what happened to each of his 6 wives. So I'm going to reveal the answers for you now. Okay, Tallulah, are you ready for this? Because you don't know this either, so I'm going to teach you at the same time. So, Henry VIII's first wife actually was married to his brother before him. Right? His brother was older than Henry and he was destined to become the King of England, and his name was Arthur. Now, he was married to Catherine of Aragon, a princess from Spain. And when Arthur died, Henry VII, King Henry's dad, wanted her to still be the next queen. He wanted that alliance with Spain. He wanted to keep the Spanish people happy with him. So Henry agreed to marry his dead brother's wife. And they were actually married for a long, long time. And they tried many times to have children, but only one of their children survived. And that child, if we shrink down the page here, that child, whoop, hold on to it, shrunk it down a little bit too much. It's got to be very careful. That child was this lady here, number 1, Mary, and she became Queen Mary I. We'll come back to her in a bit. Okay, now when Henry realised that Catherine of Aragon was not going to give him what he really wanted, which was a male heir. He wanted a son. He wanted someone to be the future king. Kings held onto the throne for their families, much better than the ladies could, because the ladies would get married to someone else, and that person their family would become the new ruling family. So Henry really wanted a son. So he spotted and fell in love with this lady here, Anne Boleyn. She was number 2. Bring Anne Boleyn over here. Okay. Now, Henry really did fall in love with Anne Boleyn, and she spent a long time sort of teasing him on whether or not she would become his next queen. And in getting to marry her, first of all, he had to divorce Catherine, and that created a lot of bother, because the Pope, the religious leader of the Catholic Church, said, no, you're not allowed to get divorced. You're the King of England. You can't get divorced. So Henry did something very drastic. He broke away from the Catholic Church, and not just himself, he took the whole country away from the Catholic Church and started the Church of England. And being the head of the Church of England, he could do what he wanted, and he allowed himself to have a divorce. And then he married Anne Boleyn. And at first everything was fine. She became pregnant with a baby who was born, but sadly it wasn't a boy. So, Tallulah, which one of these do you think was the second child? That's right, it was Elizabeth, who later becomes Elizabeth I. But Henry really wanted a boy, and he started to not like Anne Boleyn very much, and he also started to fancy one of her ladies-in-waiting quite a lot too. And in the end, he decided she had to go. And she met a very poor end, as you'll see in the next slide. But he then fell in love with this lady, Jane Seymour. Jane Seymour was number 3 to do that. If you can slide her over carefully with your sweaty fingers. There we go, get her into box number 3. Excellent. Now Jane Seymour, Henry is buried with Jane Seymour. She was his favourite wife. And she did finally give him a son, part of the reason why she became his favourite. And so the third child that Henry had was Edward, who became Edward VI later on. Now sadly, Jane did not do very well in the birth and didn't survive, as we'll see in the next slide. Okay, so then Henry suddenly needed a new queen, potentially maybe have more children. The more sons the better. So he asked his advisors to search for a princess or a royal lady that he could marry, and he was sent a picture of his 4th wife, Anne of Cleves. You're right, Tallulah. That's right, you guessed right. Now the thing is, the portrait of her made her look a lot better then Henry decided she looked in real life. And when she turned up, he called her the Flanders mare. He said that she looked like a horse. So he really wasn't happy to marry her, and the marriage ended very soon. However, she did still hang around, and Henry is reported to have been quite friendly with her for much of his life. Now, he then fell for someone very young, way too young for him really, and that was Catherine Howard. Flighty young thing, very exciting. An old man like Henry, as he'd become, was very excited by her, but sadly, she couldn't quite behave herself and ended up in trouble. So, finally, Henry needed someone stable, someone who could help him look after his children and bring a bit of stability to the country, and so he chose Catherine Parr, and she was married to him all the way up until he died. Now, as for the children here, although Mary was the oldest, she wasn't the first to become queen. First of all, Edward, being the boy, he became king first. But he was a very sickly boy, and he didn't last very long, and he died. Mary I came in, caused lots of trouble. She was still a Catholic, didn't agree with what her father had done to the church, and tried to bring Catholicism back to the country, caused a lot of upset. So nobody was too upset when Bloody Mary, as she became known, died. And her sister Elizabeth took the throne. And she was a new Protestant, part of the Church of England, and she went back to what her father had wished. Okay, even despite what he'd done to her mother. So Elizabeth then ruled the country for a long, long time. One of the longest reigning monarchs we've ever had. Okay, let's have a look at the answers on the next slide to do, and that's it. Test again. Okay, so how did each marriage end? Okay, so here we go. Catherine of Aragon, if you remember, wasn't going to give Henry a new son, so she was divorced. That's right, divorced. Anne Boleyn, who made Henry a little bit cross by not giving him a son after all the hassle he went through, you're right, Tallulah, she was beheaded. Jane Seymour, yes, she, hold on, Tallulah, Jane Seymour could not survive after giving birth to Henry's only son, and she did die in childbirth. Now, Anne of Cleves, Tallulah, this is the one that Henry decided didn't look very pretty. So he didn't want to kill her, he just didn't want to marry her anymore. So he was going to divorce her. Okay? Now, Catherine Howard is the young naughty queen that Henry married, who caused him lots of hassle. So what do you think he did to her? Yes, that's right. Off with her head. She had her head chopped off. And finally, that's right, Tallulah, Catherine Parr was widowed. She survived Henry VIII. And she even went on to marry somebody else. Right, so those are the answers to our Tudor challenge. I hope you had fun researching them. I hope you didn't cheat. And come back to see some more Key Stage 2 challenges, because learning is always better with G and T. Say bye, Tallulah. Good girl.